it's Kai-Fu here with game 1 in the series between Matthew and Kai, where Matthew on the left side is playing Fox, while on the right side we have Kai, aka yours truly, is playing Alhama'at. So this will be a Alhama'at against a Fox matchup. So the Fox deck in general is a very early game type deck. If you're able to get this command out onto the battlefield really quick in the game, ramping up, getting destruction effect and discarding your opponent's hand or destroying an addition on the battlefield, it will give you a lot of advantages, and not that you can do the aggressive play to pressure your opponent because those are chimeras when you get on the battlefield by the Fox effect. It's not little, it's pretty big, minimum 900 attack, and they're all flying as well. So except for the very strong one, which is Ahmad, which is a 15-15 resonator with no flying, but the other two, most of the time you go into, generally the time you will most likely go into the Griffin to double ramp up, to pressure your opponent the mana to ramp behind in a way. While on the right side, you see me playing Alhama'at, a very interactive type of deck. As I said before, it's very interactive, so you can use those mana counter to your advantages, saying that you can do something. I can use my Ancient Knowledge to search for a card. I can use like Ruined Soul, search for like key cards next turn to punish you and so on. Like, there's a lot of powerful plays with Alhama'at, but the problem is Shackle does slow it down a little bit. But other than that, that's pretty much it. It's a very interactive deck, and you can have multiple win conditions depending what kind of deck list you play. Other than that, let's get back to the game itself. Currently, life point was 4,000 compared to 3,700 life point. My opponent did miss his Regalia, so double rules Memorial did hurt him in the early game. He is a bit slowed down, and after drawing from those Tarmans and removing the top card for my Magic Stone, he hasn't hit a single Regalia yet, so which is quite concerning for him, because without a Regalia, if he keeps hitting multiple rules Memorial, he is in a lot of trouble. But luckily he did hit a Killing Stone, so it allows him to enable his big plays. But at the moment he can't do the Fox big play at the moment, because he does need the Judgment and he does require a Darkness Resonator onto the battlefield. Now, as you see on the right side, I'm actually having a lot of open Magic Stone open to interact with my opponent if necessary. So if I see a threat, I can just play it now and kill it. I do see the Abdul, but I don't see the point of me cancelling it with the Sylvan Light in my hand. I do have the mana for it, but I don't think I need it at this point in time. So it seems like that I'm doing a big play at the moment. He does have a lot more resonance than I do, so I have literally none. He does have 2 Tarmans and an Abdul, but again, this is a very interactive deck, so you can actually get cards you need and so on. I use Heartfelt to actually increase my mana play, so then I can get an Ancient Knowledge for like less mana usage after that. So checking top 5 to add 2 cards from it to my hand and so on. So let's see now. He did attack me with Tama last turn, so pretty much does doing some minor damage to me. Again, damage is damage. You don't want to leave any damage out of the game, because especially against a control matchup, because the control deck is very powerful in the late game. Even though in the control deck like this, Alhama'at does require time to set up, but once you get the setup play they need, it is quite painful for you to get around it. Now, I did hit the Evaporation Stone. Now, a lot of Alhama'at deck doesn't play Evaporation Stone, which is understandable because it won't trigger the Residence. But however, I'm using this card as a long-term strategy, which allows me to generate more mana later on. This is my thing, this is my fault anyway. Later in the game, I will eventually run out of stone, and when I do, I have no way to generate mana. That is for against a very grindy matchup. Just say that for scenario, and if that does happen, I do require a way to generate mana to use those Ancient Knowledge and use those cards in my hand for free. So generating free mana from Evaporation is not too bad. Plus it's a red source and a blue source, which does allow me to trigger Lunar Lake or use my red source or blue source cards. And then I do kill the Abdul with Time Space and the combination of Heartfelt, and then I'll double flip the Reza. So obviously my opponent can't play the Abdul next turn if he does have another one in his hand. So meaning all my enter ability will trigger off, and I do pay the 2,000 lives to put 2 cards face down the battlefield. One of them will be a Lunar Lake, and the other one most likely will be a Melder or a Lunar Lake. I don't recall, but most likely 1 Lunar Lake and 1 Melder. Now with Lunar Lake in face down, it is kind of pressuring my opponent, saying that, well, if you can play the Fox play, I do have a Lunar Lake face down, and I can destroy, and you will be a lot of way behind them before, because you already lost your first Killing Stone and 1 Resonator on the, or 2 Resonator on the battlefield as well. Now, with 2 reasons in play, I can play defensively now because now those Tama can't attack me. Now, a lot of you guys will be saying, well, your life is pretty low at the moment. Now, in order for my opponent to really kill me, he has to do a lot of killing stone plays, like killing his own killing stone to drain my life and increase his life. But I don't think he can do that at this point in time. So I'm very safe, and not only that, he doesn't have any big resonators on the battlefield for me to worry about. Not only that, in general, in a Fox deck in the main board, you don't see a lot of big resonators, so pretty much I'm not supposed to be afraid of it in a way. But he does play the Vermilion play, which does indicate to me that he might have a Titanium in the deck, which he can search out for. But again, I'm not too worried because this deck I'm using is very interactive. I can turn to a bear, then time space and so on, like use it all full advantage to my favor. Currently life point wise 4,000 compared to 1,200 life points. My opponent does have a lot of resonance in play, and he chooses to tap another stone. Doesn't wish to judgment and do the Chimera play because he is fearing the Lunar Lake possibility face down, which is most likely a Lunar Lake again. If you double flip a Razor against a box deck, most likely it will be a Lunar Lake face down among them. Using the Moonbeam to search out a 2-cost Resonator, he did pay a total of 3 to search out a card. So you can search for another Abdul to shut down all the enter ability. I'm not too sure about this play because I already triggered my Breezes already, but he might be fearing against the Melder, so which is quite understandable. But again, my Breezer already did its effect, so nothing to worry about. So now I'm going to go for the offensive play now. However, my opponent is playing very defensive now because he's blocking my Breezer's attack at the moment with the Tama and the Familia, so meaning that he doesn't take any damage because he might think that, well, he might kill me later on. So during back to the main phase, I do turn his Abdul into a bear, so now I do have the option to kill it with Heartfelt in my hand, or Time Space in the graveyard, or the face down Melder. I most likely will kill the Abdul with a Resonator face down, which is the Melder, -12 to the Resonator, killing it. Now, at the moment, I'm trying to kill as much Darkness Resonator as I can because I do know for the fact that playing against Fox and using Fox in general, they do require a lot of Black Resonator. A lot of Black Resonator doesn't have a lot of recurring effect except for Monkey. And not only that, they don't play a lot of Darkness Resonator as well, just for the fact that they don't have a lot of potential good 1-drops and a recurring effect. So killing all those Darkness Resonator as fast as I can, that would be great. But he does have the Monkey, so I mean that he will do the recurring play and so on. He could be using the Fox effect, sacrifice a Monkey, a Tama, and a Killing Stone to drain my life by 100, and increase his life by 100, but also the Monkey will drain his life by 100, so nothing has changed. So he's going to use it to get into a Chimera. Getting into Griffin now, I'll be like, nope, I'm going to flip with the Lunar Lake, killing that Resonator away. But however, he still have an Energize and 3 stones to play with, so he's not way behind at the moment. So dropping the Tama, drawing cards, getting hand advantage, getting key cards you need to answer my board. Finally playing a Regal on the field, Depth Side, but again, Depth Side doesn't really help him against my matchup because again, I rarely flip the Flare. Yeah, let me say it again. I rarely flip up the Alhama'at, and even I do, I can't go in aggressive play with it anyway. So before the end phase, I'm going to kill the Tama with the Time Space from my graveyard because then he can't trigger the Fox effect or activate the effect of the Fox because he doesn't have the green Resonator for requirement. So now I'm going to be doing for the aggressive play now because I am in advantage with field wise, so going to push for a lot of damage and so on. He does defend with the Monkey. Yes, I could have killed the Monkey with cards in my hand, but I'd rather not waste resources at the moment. So I'm already in advantage. I'm going to do as much attack I can. He can block with everything he wants, so I don't mind. The reason why Matthew is shuffling at the moment, he indicated to me that he has no valid target. He just wants a free shuffle, which is quite fine, to be honest. So let's see now. Currently life point wise 3,100 compared to 1,100 life point, so 2,000 life point difference. But again, I'm already in control. I have more magic strength than my opponent, and I have 3 Resonant on the battlefield, which is quite big. 2 8/8s and 1 10/10 on Melder and 2 Reasons, of course. And note that I do have a lot of open magic stones, so I can interact with my opponent's play. But then again, my opponent's magic stone is quite limited, so he has to be very careful what to play with. With so many open magic stones, it can cause a lot of problem for him. Using the Fox effect, shuffling the Killing Stone back to the deck, obviously allowing you to use those Killing Stone once more when using the Fox effect. So let's see what can my opponent do now. So let's see. Tapping for another Magic Stone, dealing a Rules Memoria, which is great. He has 5 cards to play with, so let's see can he use those 5 cards to his full potential. So let's see. He does have a lot of cards in hand, but I'm not quite sure what he can do in this situation against like 2, 4, 6 open Magic Stone. He plays the Assistant, but I'm like, not today. I'm going to cancel that because you only have 1 resource open at the moment. Obviously, he does have the Energize, but he has to have a 1-drop Green Resonator and a 1-drop Darkness Resonator from hand to activate it. But by looks of it, he doesn't really have any. He just plays the Monkey and Horn and pass turn. Now, for those who don't know, this is reported like 2 or 3 weeks ago, before the ban list was kicked into effect. Just in case you're wondering why is Horn in here, it's not recorded at this point in time. It is recorded a couple of weeks ago. Using Time Space, killing the Monkey and creating his life point at the same time, so I'm going for the aggressive push. So before recovery, I'm going to increase my mana as well using the Evaporation Stone. I mean, if you have a lot of open Magic Stone and you're not going to do anything with before recovery, might as well pump for more mana, right? More mana means more resource to play with. Again, gaining a lot of resource, attacking direct for 1000, putting down to 2000 life point. Attacking directly again for 800, putting down to 1200, and attack again, which does put him down to 400 within range for any burn spells, which I am attempting to do, using a half spell to increase my mana, and then using Rune Soul to search for a burn spell. Now at this point in time, I do have a game, but I'm just wondering which burn spell to kill him with, to give him the knowledge of what kind of burn spell I'm playing. I can either search for the Explosion or the Invitation, but I do search for the Invitation and burn him for 800 for game. So stay tuned for game 2, guys. Hello everyone, welcome back to game 2 now. With game 1 in the bag in my favor, I am in a lot, not in a lot of pressure, but obviously I have the what is it called? What's that word called? I can't remember what's the word called, but it does allow me to have a relief in a way that I'm already up 1 in advantage. However, my opponent is not in the same story as me. He is under pressure because of that. He needs to force the game 2 into his favor in order to force the game 3 to me. Because if he doesn't force the game 2, then obviously I'm already winning by 2-0, meaning that the game will be over. So let's see. Again, Fox is trying to settle his play, but he does get the Killing Stone at this point in time, so he can do the Killing Stone play next turn. But for me, I do have 1 Energize, 2 mana open, and 1 resource open with the Magic Stone. My opponent is using a lot of resource playing Palmers and Monkeys, so putting a lot of field present, and he passed turn, and I think he actually forgot to attack me directly with the first hammer, so which kind of sucks, but hey, what can you do? And then I could pay 2 cards and put a card face down. Now that card could be a bluff that I could be doing, or it can be actual Lunar Lake. And it is a Lunar Lake, by the way, guys. Because of that, I actually put a face down to either bluff my opponent if he goes for the Chimera play. If he does go for Chimera play, if it's not a Lunar Lake, then he gets rewarded. If it's a Lunar Lake, then he gets punished really harshly. So now it's all about the Mind Games format against my opponent to see what he can really do. So now he's going for the aggressive play with those little resonators. I'm going to take all of it. Because again, 500 is not too much, because again, in the early game, Fox doesn't really have a lot of powerful resonate in the main deck unless you J-activate and sacrifice your resonate for bigger resonators. So meaning that in order for him to get the advantage, he needs to make sacrifices, but with that face down on the field, it can be intimidating for my opponent. So let's see now. My opponent's going to pay 2 resource at the moment to think about his big play. Playing the Firefox, which allowed him to generate more mana, and then playing Familiar to get more regeneration when it comes to sacrifices, and dropping the power later on. When I was doing, getting a lot more mana now to play with. So let's see what can I do at this situation, because he does have a lot of resonance in play and not a lot of cards in hand. So I was thinking, what can I actually do to really punish my opponent at this point in time. Now, as you can see in my hand, a little bit of it, I do have the Well of Flames, so Flame of Worlds, whatever it's called these days, which allows me to punish my opponent. And I'm going to use the Heartfelt, increase my mana, use all my mana, and doing 800 AoE damage against my opponent's board, and forcing my opponent to sacrifice the zone at the same time. Now, I could have burned 800 to face, but I don't need to burn to face because I'm not in a situation I'm under pressure. I'd rather force he lose a lot of resources, meaning that he lost the field, he lost the resource, meaning that he's not in a great situation. Now, we do know that he did mistrigger with the monkey and the familiar, which will be noticed in this game, and I will allow to resolve later on, which you will see later. So from there, he's reading the familiar and said that I forgot the familiar effect, and asked me if it's okay for him to search, even he drew after the whole thing. I said, sure, don't worry about it. Now, usually you do not want to allow this to happen in the big event, but because I'm that nice guy, allowing my opponent to search after he drew a card, that will be a warning for my opponent if that did happen. But the only reason I'm allowing that is because I have game 1 in the bag, so meaning that no pressure all for me. If I was already lost down in game 1, obviously I'm not going to let that happen. And he played the assistant to get the timer out, and he noticed he has a monkey in his grave. He said that I can use, trigger the monkey. A lot of mistriggering, but again, it wouldn't matter in the long run. Playing the assistant, getting the timer out, and drawing more cards, and back to my turn. And before recovering, I'm going to use the time space to kill my opponent's assistant. He's going to use the Apollo, bounce it back to hand, but I still get the draw, so I'm not in too much worry. I got a +1 out of that, at least. Got rid of Apollo, and tapping for my action stone, I got a mana, and I'm paying 2 resources to put a card face down. Most likely that one will be a Riza or another Lunar Lake. If it's another Lunar Lake, which is great, so meaning that my opponent cannot do a lot of big pushes. And what I mean by big pushes, I mean his big power plays, because he needs to get the power play going to his favor, or his deck can't really do much. So let's see, he does have the Titania in hand, which I did notice when he searched with the Familiar, so meaning that I can be prepared for it with 2 open Magic Stone, and I do have Energize to play with. So let's see what can my opponent do now. My opponent is not in a great situation at the moment because he needs to get the early game advantage, but at the moment he couldn't get the early game advantage he needed to be because of the face down card I played in turn 2, fearing that it is a Lunar Lake, and which it is, meaning that he can't really do much against that. So playing Monkey, so tapping all 3, if I look for the playing Titania on the battlefield, putting board present and putting a lot of pressure, which is understandable because again, he needs to apply pressure if he can't gain access to the to his chimeras. If he can't gain access to chimera, which will be a problem. He can't push for damage, and in this game, you need to push for damage to push your opponent's life point to 0 or force them to go to game 3. So which is understandable, but I look at my hand now and I look at my graveyard. I'm going to use the bear transformation from my hand to turn into a 4/4 bear, and then I can kill it later on after recovery. Tap for stone, gain another magic mana, paying 2 resource, and I'm going to use the time space to kill my opponent's resonator, but he does use the Apollo to bounce it back to hand, which is not too bad for me because again I got rid of his Apollo, so meaning that he must have another Regale in play. If he doesn't have another Regale in play, if any of those stones coming up Memorias, he will be in the pressure because he will be having tapped down resources. So let's see now, I'm thinking about my play. And I do have the Capital Hook in hand, which I can use later on to control my opponent's resources, but at this point in time, nothing yet to think about. And I'm discussing whether to pass turn or not, and I most likely will pass turn because I do want open resources, I do want to interact with my opponent. Let's see how everything goes so far. He's deciding to Judgment at this point in time to get the Fox on play. So he wants to do the Fox play, but he does have Titania in hand to do that big play at the moment. Let's see now. Currently the life point was 3,900 compared to 3,500 life point. Paying 1. Oh, he's using the Fox effect right away. This might be a minor misplay that he did. He should have played the Titania first because you're not going to do anything with it, might as well play something right. And he does go into the Griffin and it does get cancelled by my Lunar Lake face down. So his play he wanted to do got really nullified, and he's down again, losing a lot of resource in the early game, and not in that losing a Chimera and a Killing Stone, so not looking too good. And he's using one of his open wheels and paying 2 of his resources to play the assistant. And in response to that, I chased with the Riza to search for a card from my deck. I'm going to search for another Lunar Lake just in case. Now, for those who don't know why I search for the Lunar Lake instead of Meld and so on, the reason I search for it because he can't use the Fox again effect this turn, right? So meaning that next turn during my turn he can use the Fox effect, and standby card face down if it's not stealth. You have to wait for 1 turn at least, or at least be face down for the turn on either player's turn to flip it over. So which I do hit the requirement for, because it will be face down at my opponent's turn, and during my turn back, my standby card will be active. So just in case my opponent does really want to play the Chimera play. So before the end phase, I'm turned that to a 4/4 bit and kill with a time space, gaining a lot of resource, gaining a lot of benefit out of it. So my opponent now, I'm asking my opponent, are you responsible for anything? If not, then I'm going to go to uncall phase and call phase, not call phase. Call phase is removed from the game a long time ago, so I'm going to go to my main phase and get a E-Bond Home, which removes the top card of my opponent's deck. And I do pay the 400 life, not 400, 300 life to get my life a bit lower, so I can trigger like Melter later on in the game. So now I'll go for the aggressive play, attacking directly with my opponent with the Riza, putting him down to 3,100 life. So now my opponent is in a weird situation now. He is, no, not weird situation, but he is facing a lot of resource open now at the moment. And I did forget to trigger my my resonant ability, by which I will get reminded later in the game, which I will trigger right now. Yep. Even though it was a misplay, nothing has changed at the moment. So I'm gonna pay 1, use the Heartfelt, increase my mana, and then play Whirl of Flames once more, doing 800 AoE damage on the field and forcing my opponent to lose a stone. Now again, I could have burned him to the face for 800, but controlling his stone is a bit more important at this point in time, because I am in control with 1 Resonate and a lot of resources open. Not only that, I do have the Energize to play with, which I haven't used yet at this point in time. So now thinking about play, he does have 2 stones to play with, and now I play the Captain Hook, spinning his 2 Killing Stone, so meaning he has no resource, nothing on the field. He is in a bad situation at the moment. So using the Fox effect to recur, to put back a Killing Stone back to his deck. Now, a lot of people will say, well, why couldn't he just use the Fox effect to summon a Fox on the summon a Chimera on the battlefield? He could have, but I do have a card face down here, which he should realize will be a standby Lunar Lake, because I did search out with Riza, so meaning that it will be active on my turn, killing it and making him lose more resource, which would benefit me more than my opponent, which is quite understandable why he didn't do it. Paying 1, playing a Monkey, and playing the Apollo. Again, my opponent is not in the best situation. He lost so many stones, he lost his field, he's under pressure at the moment. While you see myself, I have 2, 4, 6, 7 Magic Stone, 1 mana and 1 Energize to play with, and then I attack the Captain's Hook. Yes, I could have killed it, but I don't see the point of it. I don't want to waste resource for no reason, and attack him directly for 800. Now thinking about it, I could have killed the Resonator and applied more pressure, doing more damage, but at that time I didn't think about it and so on. So again, a lot of you guys could say that we should have done it to finish the game off a lot faster, but who knows. He's typing for another Magic Stone, getting a 2 Magic Stone to play with, but it all depends what he can use with those 2 resources, because I am up in the advantage with those 2 cards face down, 2 cards on the battlefield, 1 Hook, 1 Melter, and not Melter, 1 Riza, and I have a lot of open resource to interact with my opponent, so he has to be very careful. Playing the Abdul, which makes sense because Abdul can't get killed by time space or Heartfelt if I necessarily want to, so meaning that I can't actually kill at all, but I do have 1 time space in my graveyard, but again, Abdul will most likely survive that. So back to my turn now. Looking before I want to do anything before recovery, but I haven't done anything at the moment, so I'm going to recover, tap for another stone, generate another mana, attack him directly for 1000, and he does take it, which does put him down to 1200 life point. So let's see what can I do now. So thinking about my play, and I'm gonna use like the Awakening and then burn him for 2000 directly, and that's the game. So that's the game, guys. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time. Peace.